Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theravada Buddhism series, Dhamma talk number 28. Unwholesome consciousness. Akusala Citta. Unwholesome consciousness. Akusala Citta is blameworthy and produce painful result. It is accompanied by the three roots of evil, namely lobha, greed, attachment, wanting, craving; dosa, ill will, anger, aversion, dissatisfaction; and moha, delusion, illusion, ignorance. Those are the words translated into English. Basically, lobha, dosa, and moha. These three mental factors are collectively called kilesa, mental defilements. Kilesa, mental defilements. Lobha, greed, is always mentioned first amongst the three, because in every new rebirth, the first swift consciousness, javana citta, that arises is accompanied by lobha, which is the attachment to the new existence of life. The first karmic forming consciousness, javana citta, is accompanied with attachment to the new existence of that particular life. And that is so strong, it remains with one for the rest of one's life. As it started with the first new rebirth, lobha is always mentioned first among the three roots of evil. And then dosa, aversion, is mentioned next, because it arises whenever lobha, the greed, is not fulfilled. It arises a lot, and it is very pronounced, dominant, obvious. And the third is moha, is mentioned last. Lobha, dosa, moha. Moha, delusion, illusion, ignorance. And this mental factor moha accompany all 12 unwholesome consciousness. 12 unwholesome consciousness. Whenever there's lobha, or dosa, there always is moha, ignorance. Because moha arises with every unwholesome consciousness. If there is lobha, there is moha. If there is dosa, there is moha. So, there are 8 kinds of unwholesome consciousness. We call it lobha, greed-rooted consciousness. Even though there's moha with it, we don't mention about it. We simply call lobha mula, greed-rooted consciousness. And also, there are 2 accompanied by dosa, ill will, aversion. And the remaining 2 is accompanied by delusion. So there are 8 greed-rooted consciousness, 2 ill-will-rooted consciousness, and 2 delusion, ignorance-rooted consciousness. Altogether 12. So, unwholesome consciousness, major heading, major class, is divided into 3 divisions based on greed, based on ill will, and based on delusion. So there are 3 divisions in the unwholesome consciousness. And then the 3 divisions are again subdivided using associated feelings and also using association or lack of association with wrong view, and whether it is prompting or not prompting. With these 3 qualities, it is subdivided again. As we say, there are 8 lobha, greed, rooted or accompanied by greed consciousness. Let's go one by one. The first one is the unwholesome consciousness accompanied by greed-rooted. Unwholesome consciousness accordingly by or rooted by greed. Associated with pleasurable feeling, that's vedana, and wrong view, and it arises unprompted. That is the character of the first unwholesome consciousness. So the following is how this particular consciousness is explained in the manual of Abhidhamma. The story goes like this. A boy saw an apple tree with many apples in his neighbor's yard. He wanted to eat, thinking that there's no evil, nothing wrong in stealing that apple. Instantly went into the neighbor's yard with excitement and joy. and stole an apple. That is the storyline. And there, if you look at it, he wanted to eat. That wanting to eat is the greed. So, when he saw the apple tree, there accompanies greed. And also, when he thinks that, no big deal, no harm done, nothing wrong with it, just go an apple, going to steal it. In other words, saying that there will be no bad consequences, no bad karma. That means wrong view, miccha ditthi, wrong view. The boy has the wrong view. Okay? The boy has greed in the mind, in that particular consciousness. And also, he instantly go into the neighbor's yard and stole an apple. That means nobody is pushing him, nobody is urging him to go and steal. He spontaneously did the job. That means he did it unprompted. So that story shows exactly how the first unwholesome consciousness is rooted in, accompanied by greed, and also accompanied by wrong view. And also he steals with excitement and joy because, going to steal it so that nobody see me. There's a little excitement, there's a little joy. That is a pleasurable feeling. And he did it without anybody seducing or enticing him to do so, unprompted. All the characters of the first unwholesome consciousness accompanied by greed is in that storyline. So let's see the second one, second unwholesome consciousness. One of the 8, rooted in, accompanied by greed. Second one is written like this in the book. Prompted or induced by a friend, the boy joyfully steals an apple, viewing no evil thereby. Prompted or induced by a friend, a boy joyfully steals an apple, viewing no evil thereby. It is almost the same as the first consciousness. The only difference is, in the first consciousness, it is unprompted. Nobody pushed him to do. Second one is a friend dares him. Go ahead, go do it. Pick up another one for me too. That is prompted. That's a difference between the first and the second unwholesome consciousness. And let's see how the third and the fourth unwholesome consciousness, accompanied by greed, is, or greed are. Basically, number 3 and 4 is the repeat of the consciousness number 1 and 2. Except the boy knows that it is a wrong action. This is evil. This is not good. He knows what he is doing is not good. So the difference is, in this consciousness numbers 3 and 4, is not associated with wrong view, meaning that he knows there will be a bad consequences. In other words, bad karma will arise down the line. So consciousness 1, 2, 3, 4. Prompted, unprompted. With the wrong view, without wrong view. That's the key distinctions. And the greed accompany, greed-rooted consciousness number 4, 5, 6, number 5, 6, 7, and 8. It is similar to the first 4. Similar to the first 4. Except that this time the boy did it with a indifferent or neutral feeling. The first 4, the boy did it with pleasurable feeling, little excitement and joy, adventure. And the last 4, no feeling, indifferent feeling, neither sad or neither happy, just did it. So those are the 8 unwholesome consciousness accompanied by lobha, greed. There are 2 kinds of unwholesome consciousness accompanied by dosa, ill will, anger, aversion. There are 2 of them. So these 2 fall in the consciousness number 9 and 10. Number 9 is with rage. One murders another without predetermination. That is the storyline given. One must know killing is always done with ill will or aversion, dosa. Whenever there's a killing, there's the ill will. There's dosa. And also, whenever there is ill will, it associates with displeasure or undesirable feeling, vedana, in Pali, domanassa. Killing always done by, accompanied by ill will, and ill will is always accompanied with displeasure or unpleasurable feeling. And then the word is not predetermined. That means spontaneously, with rage, spontaneously committed to killing with rage, meaning unprompted. So number 9 is did with ill will, associated with unpleasurable feeling, and it is unprompted. Unwholesome consciousness number 10. A person commit murder with predetermination. So, as it is killing, it's accompanied by dosa, ill will, and it is accompanied by unpleasurable feeling, domanassa, and it is associated with hatred, patigaha. And as he plans to kill it, predetermination is being planning ahead. As he plan and kill a person, it is prompted by the motive with hatred. He just planned and killed a person. That is the unwholesome conscious number 10 in the division of dosa, anger-rooted consciousness. And next, there are two kinds of unwholesome consciousness accompanied by moha, delusion. It just gives basically two. Okay? But we already said moha, delusion, is associated with all 12 unwholesome consciousness. And how come two here? Okay. Even though there's moha, delusion, with lobha, greed, and dosa, anger, even though they are there, moha plays a minor role because greed and anger plays a very dominant and obvious role. In the first 10 unwholesome consciousness. So, as his role is at the background, not obvious, it's not mentioned or giving credit to it. Because of that, the first 10 are called lobha, greed-rooted, or dosa, anger-rooted. But the last two, unwholesome consciousness, of course, also accompanied by moha. But in those two, there is no lobha, greed. There is no dosa, anger. It's only moha by itself. That's why it is given there are two moha accompanied unwholesome consciousness. And this moha, delusion or illusion, it's a mental factor. It is a dull mental factor. It's very dull. Therefore, that consciousness is associated only with indifferent or neutral feeling, as it is dull, obscure, fuzzy, foggy. It's associated with indifferent or neutral feeling. That's how the moha accompanied consciousness behave. So let's go specifically to consciousness number 11, accompanied by moha, delusion, and indifferent or neutral feeling. A person bears doubt, vicikiccha. A person bears doubt at the existence of Buddha and the efficacy of the Dhamma. So that's a storyline given in the book as an example. I'll repeat again, accompanied by delusion and indifferent feeling. A person bears doubt at the existence of Buddha or efficacy of the Dhamma. So doubt, vicikiccha, think we all heard about this many times. and the 5 hindrances. There are 2 kinds of doubts. The first kind is doubt arises due to indecision. You have a situation or condition and you can't decide this or that. This is right. Maybe no, that is right. Just can't decide it. Both seems to be right and both seems to be maybe wrong. That is the first kind of doubt, indecision. And the second kind of doubt arises due to lack of knowledge or intelligence to understand or comprehend an object or a condition. There's a situation that is beyond your capability to decide. It is too deep, too complex, too profound. You don't have enough intelligence to know what is right and wrong. That kind of doubt is the second kind of doubt. So that is the 11th type of consciousness. Again, it is accompanied by moha, delusion, associated with indifferent feeling, upekha vedana, indifferent feeling, upekha vedana, and with doubt, vicikiccha. Those are the factors that are accompanied, or you can find it in the 11th unwholesome consciousness. The 12th one, a person is distracted in mind, unable to concentrate on an object. Example given. The mind distracted, can't concentrate on the object. So if you look at it, it is accompanied by moha, delusion, and also, as it is moha, it is indifferent feeling, upekha vedana. And it is associated with restlessness, udicca, restlessness. Association is restlessness. Restlessness is the inability to be fully aware of an object. There's an object, but you can't know fully about it. You sort of know, but you don't know. For example, is let's say we are meditating. Everybody is observing, noting, rising, falling, rising, falling. Everybody knows there's a rising, everybody knows there's a falling, but the way they are aware, the way they know the rising and falling is different. Some are very superficial, some are very deep and detailed. That superficial knowing is due to restlessness, not deep enough. So that's why you sort of know, rising and falling, but at the same time you don't truly know rising and falling sharply and clearly and in detail. That's due to restlessness. Restlessness is with every unwholesome consciousness. You remember we said moha is with all 12 unwholesome consciousness. Here we go. This is moha, restlessness. It with every one of the 12 unwholesome consciousness. But it is not obvious in the consciousness that are rooted with lobha, greed, and dosa, anger. However, it becomes noticeable in the 12th unwholesome consciousness accompanied by delusion. Only then you know that moha, the restlessness, because stands alone, you can notice. So those are the 12 unwholesome consciousness, Akusala, Citta. We should have a little exercise for ourselves every day. Reflect on your daily thoughts. Whenever there's activities, there's a thoughts involved. Reflect on your thoughts. What kind of unwholesome consciousness is there? What kind of unwholesome consciousness is arising? Of course, if the time permits, if the place permits, whenever possible, exercise that. And you will know what kind of consciousness are dominating and arising in your mind. May all of you be able to practice mindfulness insight meditation and be able to eliminate all 12 unwholesome consciousness as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.